After Manchester City defeated FC Copenhagen by a score of 3-1 in the first leg of their round of 16 clash in the Champions League, Rio Ferdinand was unfortunately asked whether Phil Foden could be considered world-class. With Foden having just slammed home the third goal for the visitors, Ferdinand was inclined to say yes, but when asked why he felt Bukayo Saka wasn't world-class, he responded with this.
Because I don't think he's done it at the top level, winning trophies in a team like this and been.
Is he in a team as good as Man City's team?
No, he's not. And you've got to understand and respect and appreciate that Phil Foden has done this at the gritty, the where the medals are handed out. He's performed. He's done that against the best teams as well, consistently. I think Saka is more about. He needs the opportunity to perform at that platform, at that level consistently, and then we'll see where he's at, and you can consider him then.
Let's not mince words here. It's pretty lazy analysis. Ferdinand's theory that Foden is world-class and Saka isn't, seemingly because Foden has quote-unquote performed at the highest levels of the game and Saka hasn't, falls flat on its face as soon as you begin to examine it. The only level of the game that Foden has featured in that Saka hasn't is the latter stages of the Champions League. I presume that's why Ferdinand classifies Foden as world-class and not Saka. But over the final 3 rounds of last season's Champions League, Foden only played for a grand total of 60 minutes, and in that time he finished with 1 assist, and that was to make it 4-0 in the 91st minute against Real Madrid in the second leg of their semi-final tie. The Arsenal man, meanwhile, has succeeded in every environment he's played in. 10+ Premier League goals in each of the last 3 seasons? Check. 25 goals in the league during a campaign in which his side challenged for the title? Check. And he's already at 20 this season. One of the first players on the team sheet for his country? Check. 3 goals and an assist in 4 games at his first World Cup? Check. 7 goal contributions in the group stage of his first Champions League campaign? Check, yet again. The point is, and remember this for later, Saka continues to perform no matter how high the level he's in, and now he's reaching the highest levels in the game. So if Foden's world class, then surely Saka is too. But how exactly do you determine whether a player is world class? And I mean, how do you get that down to a formula and not just whatever Ferdinand did to reach his conclusions? I think first you have to separate out the players who are even in that discussion. The most surefire way to do that is to list out the best players in a given position. So at right wing, you obviously have Mohamed Salah at the top of the list. Coming in at number 2, I think, is the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi. And after that, I'm adding Bukayo Saka at number 3. Sure, there are guys like Rodrigo, Leroy Sané, and Ousmane Dembele around, but Saka is not only just as talented as those guys in my opinion, he has more goal contributions than all of them since the start of last season. He is applying his ability more consistently and more prolifically than comparable talents around him. And many people who talk about this kind of thing for a living would agree with me. So Saka, for my money, is the 3rd best right winger in the world right now. But does that make him world class? I want to be careful about establishing arbitrary thresholds that players have to meet in order to automatically be considered world class, such as being top 5 in their position or winning certain trophies. Because it can be the case that there aren't 5 world-class players in a position, like how I think there aren't 5 world-class goalkeepers right now. It can also be the case that a player can be world-class without winning trophies, such as those 2 guys from Spurs. In my opinion, the most logical approach to separating world-class players from elite ones is to ask the question of which players have performed consistently at the highest levels of the game for an extended period of time, regardless of the circumstances. And in the case of right wingers, I think the answer to that question currently is Salah, Messi, and Saka. Oh, and of course, Sean Hannity.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I might be losing some people here, so I want you to think back to that list of Saka's achievements that I mentioned earlier. As a teenager, he was a shining light for a club that had reached its lowest point in decades. He helped drag Arsenal back into competition for European places, and then led the way during a race with treble-winning City for the league title last season, with far and away the best offensive output on a squad that gave perhaps the best team in Premier League history a run for its money. Now, he's strutting his stuff in Europe's premier competition as well. Outside of Arsenal, he's a key man for his country, beating out the likes of Raheem Sterling, Jack Grealish, and yes, even Phil Foden, to start regularly for one of the best national teams in the world. There really isn't much more he can do to be considered world-class. Think I'm being biased? Just look at the stats. The other day, Sky Sports put out a graphic that stated that in his first 210 games in all competitions, Saka has more goals and more assists than Cristiano Ronaldo did in his first 210 matches. Yes, that Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest players of all time, and yet Saka is on a better pace for offensive output than the historic gold standard for young players in the Premier League. And he's not just some flat track bully. 20 of his 100 goal contributions in those first 210 matches have come against the Big Five and Spurs. The guy shows up in the big games as well. Here's some more stats. At the time of recording, Saka is joint first for goal contributions, first in assists, and first in goals and assists over expected goals and assists in the Champions League. Recently, Squawka tweeted that Saka was the only player in the Premier League this season with 25 plus take-ons completed, 25 plus chances created, 25 plus possessions won in the final third, 25 plus tackles made, 5 plus goals, and 5 plus assists, as well as that he had the most touches in the opposition box. According to StatMuse FC, Saka ranks in the top 5 in the Premier League for goal contributions, big chances created, key passes, final third passes, shots, crosses, touches in the opposition box, total touches among forwards, passes among forwards, tackles won among forwards, duels won among forwards, and times fouled.
All right, I get it!
TNT Sports recently noted as well that since the start of the 2021-22 season, only 2 players have 40 plus goals and 30 plus assists: Mohamed Salah and Bukayo Saka. Need I go on? So there you have it. A world-class player is a footballer who is among the best in their position and has consistently performed at a high level in various environments for an extended period of time. And under that definition, Bukayo Saka is a world-class right winger. There is just one caveat. Under this definition, Mohamed Salah and Lionel Messi are also world-class right wingers as well, but you would be right to feel that Saka hasn't really earned the right to be in the same bracket as them. It's just the fact of the matter that Saka hasn't become a legend the way that those two are. And that's because there is a third bracket of top-tier player in addition to elite ones and world-class ones, and that is generational players. And it is in that bracket that Messi and Salah will likely reside until the day that they retire, and it is that bracket that Saka must aspire to join them in. But Saka's only 22. He is at a club constructed to compete for major honors for the next several years under a tactical genius of a manager renowned for developing wide forwards. He is part of a national team setup that boasts some of the best talents in world football. He has all the tools to achieve greatness in either of those sides. If he keeps performing at the level he is, then one day, he won't just be the world-class player that he is now, but he'll be a generational one too, up there with the all-time greats.